The following program is seen statewide on California Public Television. Hello everybody, I'm Huell Hauser. Welcome to world-famous Sunset Boulevard. Now this has to be one of the most interesting and well-known boulevards anywhere in the world. It starts in downtown LA and cuts all the way through to the Pacific Ocean. And along the way, it goes through some very interesting and diverse neighborhoods. For example, right now, we're at world-famous Sunset Strip. Everybody's heard of that. And as Sunset proceeds west, it goes right through the city of Beverly Hills, past the Beverly Hills Hotel, past UCLA, and through some beautiful residential neighborhoods. Then, further west, almost to the Pacific Ocean itself, this street goes right by one of the most historic and beautiful parks anywhere in our state. And that's where we're going to be spending the day, right here on Sunset Boulevard in one of California's golden parks.
I love you, California, you're the greatest state of all. I love you in the winter, summer, spring, and in the fall.
Amy, we are at a place. I have lived in LA for over 20 years. I never knew this place existed. Tell everybody where we are.
Okay, we are in Temescal Gateway Park, which is in the town of the Pacific Palisades. We've got 141 acres here of beautiful land owned by the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, and we're bordered against 8,000 acres of Topanga State Park. So we're in a wonderful natural area, very close into the city.
Yeah, now close into the city, because if it weren't for that plane flying over, you brought us here. Look at where we are. You brought us here to show us this natural area. You wouldn't know that we were, how far are we from Sunset Boulevard?
We're less than a mile and a half from Sunset Boulevard.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, we could be in another world right here.
Absolutely, and that's one of the beauties of this park. It's so accessible. There's actually a bus stop right on Sunset at the corner of Temescal and Sunset, so you can get here easily, leave your car, and within minutes you're in this beautiful natural area.
Well, look, we have some hikers coming up the hill right now. Good morning.
Good morning.
Another beautiful day in paradise.
It's gorgeous, isn't it?
Do you all come out here a lot?
This is my first time.
You're kidding.
No.
You live right in the city?
Yeah.
So see, really, there are a lot of people who are discovering this place.
Absolutely. It's a, I wouldn't say it's a big secret because it's a very highly used park, but we always have new people coming, and I bet you all come again because it's so beautiful.
You've been here before. Yeah, I've been out here.
So you brought them along today for the first time.
That's right.
And what do you love so much about this place?
It's just beautiful. It feels like you're in the middle of the wilderness and it's 10 minutes outside of the city.
That's exactly what we were talking about.
Like we picked a good time of year too, because it's really green.
Well, look, and you're picking up things along the way. That's great.
It's a little tickler.
Well, have a great day. Yeah. Nice to meet you all. See, everybody says kind of the same thing, that this is a place that's in the city but really out of the city. Now, you brought us to this little fire pit here because this is where you have kids coming to learn about the history of this place,
right.
Little nature walks and all of that. We're here to learn ourselves.
Okay.
So bring us up to speed on the history of this area.
Right. Well, the wonderful thing about this canyon is that it has always been a meeting and gathering place. We are just an offshoot of Topanga State Park, Topanga Canyon in the background. And Topanga Canyon, they think, was the southern and eastern boundary of the Chumash native population. And where we are and south and east was the Gabrielino Tongva people. There is evidence that Temescal Canyon is where they came to trade and to meet and to gather. The word Temescal actually means sweat lodge in the Shoshone language. A Temescal was a very sacred place for both spiritual and physical rejuvenation, and that's what the canyon was named after. And there's been all sorts of archaeological finding of very active native peoples here back in Topanga, going back almost 10,000 years ago. Here in this part of the canyon, around 1,500 years ago is when the Gabrielino people were very active. Up until today, of course, there's still a very dominant wonderful population of Native peoples who still live in Los Angeles today, who are descendants from those two tribes.
So there would have been Native Americans throughout this whole canyon area here.
Absolutely, and the bounty that we see before us, there's an oak tree, and of course the acorn was the staple of the Native people. We've got California bay laurel just there. This is a California walnut here, which was used for dye and food. We've got sugarberry, and behind it elderberry, which were both food products, and also they used for baskets and for musical instruments and for arrows. So all they needed was right here. And we're a mile from the ocean, so there's everything that the marine environment had to offer. So it was a very lovely, just like the Palisades today, it was a very lovely place for a Native tribe to live.
Now this is beautiful right here. Look at
These are all these beautiful oak trees.
Oh.
Again, really a staple of both the Southern California landscape and the staple food of the Native American peoples who lived here. And you don't find oak woodlands and groves of oaks together like this in natural areas anymore.
This is magical up here.
Yeah.
Oh wow, this is absolutely beautiful.
This is one of my favorite little areas in the canyon. I bring the kids here a lot.
And the longer I'm here, the more I'm not sure that's true about this being a totally hidden and underused place, because this really is a very used park. A lot of people come here.
It is. It's a very popular regional resource. On weekends, on a beautiful day like this, you have families picnicking, hiking, biking, going way back in the back, or just a nice stroll. It's very, very heavily used, which is a wonderful thing when you acquire public land like this, to see that it's really means something to the people of Los Angeles as a little getaway so close into the city.
Now we're doing things completely backwards here, right?
We are. We're starting at the back.
Rather than hiking, starting at the front of the park and hiking into the park, we started in the park and we're hiking back to the entrance of the park.
That's right.
Because there is another layer of history in Temescal Canyon.
There is.
That is, now this is kind of obscure, don't you think?
It is. Those of us who know about it think it's a great story, but we'd love more people to know about it. So we're happy to have you here today to share it.
That's what we're going to do, is uncover right down this trail another very interesting chapter in the history of Temescal Canyon. Okay, Amy, before we get to our main destination, we have run across another part of the story out here. Who are all these people right here?
Well, these are our junior rangers. They're from the Augustus F. Hawkins Natural Park down in South Central. And part of the obligation of being a junior ranger is doing community service, and they've been here in the canyon picking up trash today.
Oh, wow. So you all have had a busy day.
Yes, we have. We're just actually up at the waterfall, picking up trash all along the trail on the way up.
So what was it, about a 20-mile hike each way?
20 to 22 miles each way, yeah. Right, guys?
And everybody show us what you've gotten. Let's hold up our bags. So we've been picking up litter.
Yeah, we've been picking up litter. It's part of our Junior Ranger program, community service.
How hard is it to get young people excited about picking up litter on a beautiful Saturday morning?
Well, maybe you guys can answer that question. Huh?
You like it?
Yeah, it's just fun.
Just like getting out in nature?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. They were doing something to like help the park here. It's cleaning up the park.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah, well said is right. This is a really good group of kids. We work with them, you know, all year round. We take them on camping trips. We take them on community service events. So this is just one of our many events.
So has everybody had a good time today?
Yeah, this is fun.
This guy looks like the real thing right here. Look at this. Got the hat and the uniform and everything.
He's ready to go.
Well, let's get a group picture of everybody here. Everybody look at the camera. This group is called?
They're the Augustus F. Hawkins Natural Park Junior Rangers.
Okay, everybody look at the camera and give us a big wave. They've had a wonderful Saturday morning out here in Temescal Canyon.
Thank you, guys.
What a great group of kids. And there is so much positive energy everywhere in this park.
That's what I love about working in this canyon. There really is.
Okay, now we've come back down to the entrance to the park. Sunset Boulevard is just right there.
Just around the bend there.
And here is the chapter of history of Temescal Canyon that we have been leading up to all morning. And here to tell us about that history are Betty Lou Young and her son Randy. They're both historians. And when we stand here and look at these two buildings right here at the entrance to the park, these are not just any old buildings here, are they, Randy?
No, this is where the Palisades was founded. This is where the whole institutional setup for the community was put together in 1922. So we're kind of at the heart of the community. This is, even though it's open and it's country, this is the heart of our town.
This is where Pacific Palisades was founded.
In 1922, January of 1922, a whole group of Methodists got together, and they all just sort of got together and they had a camp meeting here and they decided this was home. And so this is where they founded the Palisades.
Now, when you say got together, what do you mean? Did they see this as a town they were founding? Or?
It was 2,000 acres of nothing. There wasn't a structure in sight. It was all open land and fields. And they wanted to bring their idea of the perfect community here. And they wanted a Chautauqua. And this is where they wanted to found their Chautauqua, put together their camp meetings. And they thought, well, this is a beautiful place. It's near the ocean. There ain't nobody here. And they loved it. So what they did is they put together a group of people and they got money together to purchase the land. And this was like their heaven.
Now, their idea was to come out here. A Chautauqua was already established around the country. But for those who don't know exactly what Chautauqua was, what did they have in mind to do out here at this Chautauqua?
Sure. Well, this was called an independent Chautauqua, and it was related to the mother Chautauqua in New York on Lake Chautauqua, which was established in 1874. And its original purpose was to teach Sunday school teachers, because education was so poor in those days that women, let alone men, had very little education.
That's where the Methodists came into it.
That's where the Methodists, from the beginning, they founded the institution there in New York. So it was such a success, thousands of people came. So over 300 of these independent Chautauquas sprang up all over the country. And this was the last and the greatest, because this could be year-round, and it was related to a whole community, residences, business districts, everything.
Boy, those are pretty heady words, the last and the greatest.
Right, yes,
so
indeed.
This was recognized as the greatest Chautauqua?
Well, yes, because it didn't entirely achieve its full purpose because the Depression came along. But for about 10 years, they had the best in everything, the best music, the best education. They had professors from UCLA and USC. They had opera singers. It was the best.
All of it right here.
Right here. The buildings, of course, are gone. The tabernacle, the big amphitheater where they held these events are gone. Mm-hmm. But this is what we have left.
Well, now what is this? Let's take a walk here and tell us, Randy, what we're seeing right here, because these are two of the original buildings.
Correct. This was the original meat market. This is where you'd buy your groceries in town. And it was where everybody did shopping. Whereas this building that's attached was the original cafe. And if you were a camper here, what you would do is you'd be in your tent up the canyon, and you'd come down here and you would get your meal.
Now, do most people, when they come here, Amy, know the history of these buildings?
They don't.
Because thousands of people pass by here every day.
Exactly, and they're here for the natural beauty, but there's also this rich cultural history that not everyone knows about.
Actually, it's a wonder that even these two buildings have survived.
It is. We're very fortunate to still have them and to still have so much of the historic photos so that we can recreate what was here.
Because here's the entrance right here. You can see all the hikers and the campers walking in, all the cars, and they have to come right by the old store.
Well, what's kind of neat is that the preservation of this canyon was a community thing. It's where everybody got together, they recognized the value and the history, and it was the community that rose up, said, you're not going to develop this. This is going to be turned into a shopping center at one time. And thank heavens we had the state who had the resources to purchase the land and restore the buildings. They've been doing a meticulous restoration, and it's really admirable. It's really been fun. And, you know, I think to see this reborn again, look at all the people, it's just fun to see them come.
Well, weren't you talking about it, Amy, that it's kind of holding on to the same purpose that it had originally?
Absolutely. It still remains a place where people come and gather and learn and enjoy great rejuvenation from nature. We have people stay here on weekends and hear speakers. We have camp kids come and learn environmental education. So I like to think that the spirit of the Chautauqua is still with us here in the canyon.
Was it a big deal when it opened up in 1922?
A very big deal. Mind you, this was at the end of a railroad line. There were no roads here, and 3,000 people showed up. I mean, this was the sticks. This was 20 miles from LA, and no place. It was bean fields. And 2,000 people came out here to see Madame Schumann Heink do opera in the middle of no place.
Where would she have performed?
Well, there were 4 amphitheaters in the area, and outdoor amphitheaters. Everything was outdoors except for the big tabernacle that was up here. And everybody in town, all the kids, all the parents, all had a skill. They'd either act, or they were singers, or they played an instrument. And it's like Judy Garland, Mickey Rooney puts on a production every year. They'd all get together, and they would all perform with these very famous people, like very famous conductors. And it was really an incredible experience.
But they had to stay out here. Now, these weren't necessarily campers who were coming out here. These were city people.
Well, yes, they had both. They had many, many campers all up and down the canyon, all the way to the coast.
But did they know anything about camping, or did they just come out here and rough it, not knowing what they were getting into?
No, there were tent bases, and then they could rent the tents and put up the tents, and they would set up camping out here. So, and then there were cooking facilities. So everything was made as simple as could be.
And how long would they stay out here at a time?
Well, usually for about a week, but some would stay for the whole summer. And then many people came out from town. In the old pictures, you see hundreds of cars parked out here.
Actually, there's a picture looking right down this road.
Right.
Showing all the cars parked here back in the 20s and 30s.
Yes. So they would come out by the thousands for these programs.
Well, it's one thing to talk about the Chautauqua and the founding of the Palisades with a group of historians and with the ranger, and thank you all very much for your history lesson. We have now come inside this beautifully restored, this was the original dining hall, right?
Absolutely.
And you've restored it, and how is it used now?
It's still a dining hall for the camp.
Really?
Yes.
Well, we have come in here to get firsthand information about the Chautauqua from a lady who was here when the Chautauqua was founded. Mrs. Scott, you and I have known each other for many years. Your father, Dr. Charles Scott, founded the Chautauqua in 1922. Right. You were here as a child.
Yes.
Tell us what it was like to be out here from the city, coming all the way out here to the country, to this place.
I was 10 going on 11. The first summer we spent here, the family, there were 6 children in the family, so we occupied 2 tents. And that went on for most of the summer. Then little by little, they built other things to accommodate this big family. So.
Was it like you were roughing it when you were out here? Was it a roughing it experience?
Well, it was just a great holiday. It was well organized. I mean, we children weren't just let loose. We had daily vacation bites, full school. We had arts and crafts. We had hiking and physical exercises. And we started an orchestra. I played the violin.
Really?
In the Sunday school orchestra. And we started a band. No, we had all kinds of activities for the children. And then the Chautauqua were the serious concerts and things. We had Schumann Heink sang here. And Paderewski played the grand piano up in the big auditorium.
How did you get these kinds of people to come out here to the country to perform?
I don't know, but we had Lawrence Tibbett sang in a quartet here before he went to the Metropolitan. We had the John Smallman a cappella choir that was a traveling musical group from the the Christian Church on 6th Street in Los Angeles.
Now, all of this was your father's vision, this vision that he had. What was he thinking? What were his dreams?
Well, the Methodists, prior to the development of the Pacific Palisades, they'd had summer camp meetings. And those were actually evangelical, I would say, just religious programs. They had the programs for the children, but we heard Billy Sunday, people like that, you know, in big auditoriums. Well, we had one in Huntington Beach, and they discovered oil there, and so the Methodists had to find a different location.
They got moved out by the oil wells.
Right. Well, the Southern Arizona and the Southern California Methodist Conference chose my dad as someone to go out and scout the East, where the Chautauqua programs were in bloom and had been for a number of years doing very, very well. We went to, he went to Lake Chautauqua. There was a Chautauqua on Martha's Vineyard, some in New Jersey. And when he came back, his job was to find a location where they could develop something that would accommodate all the things that he had seen in the other Chautauqua programs. And this canyon just presented itself as the perfect place for the actual development of Chautauqua, because we have acres and acres in here, and up above where we are now, there was a huge auditorium. We had a library. We had a tent city. Many people stayed in tents. We also had little cottages, and if you drive through an Upper Canyon here, you'll see many of them still here.
So this was a whole community.
Yes, it was. And they also, the facilities were loaned out or rented out to different Christian organizations. The Presbyterians came for a while, the Holy Rollers came for a while, and they all had their evangelical programs up at the auditorium. So I grew up sitting in the back seats listening to those.
Well, it all made sense because religion and nature are so closely tied together. That was probably part of that combination too, wasn't it?
Right. Now, we had a lot of drama activities. There are a number of wonderful places here where we carved into up above where we are now. We had a stage just cut into the bank, actually. And I can remember being in plays where I was running fiercely across the stage hollering something, I don't know.
So there was all kind of activity going on out here. There was always something to do.
Yes, we have another place was called the Glen, and that was used for a number of things. We even had some old still movies there and plays with children of all ages being involved. And also there are pictures of my dad talking to a group. They had just lined the bank with benches, and so that's still here. The benches aren't, but you can see the area. It just lends itself to it.
Do you think it worked out the way your dad hoped it would?
Well, I'm sure it did. It started off that way, and it was, I think everyone was pleased and excited about it. But this area, thank heavens, I know my father would be very pleased. It's under the protection of the Conservancy, the Mountain Conservancy. It can't be developed in the future, as many developers have tried to acquire it. And it's being used for high risk, taking care of primarily youngsters. So they have the facilities for hiking and doing all the coast and nature things, baseball, swimming pool. I think the Presbyterians put in the swimming pool. So there's everything here, and every weekend there are hundreds of people taking off from this particular area, hiking all through these hills. This is wonderful.
Okay, we're ending up back outside in front of this wonderful little kiosk because, Mrs. Scott, this really kind of lets everybody know the history of this place.
Well, it does have a number of pictures, even a few when I was 10 and a half or 11 years old.
Is that you on the back of that horse?
Yes, that's my father. And the whole Scott family, Warren, Martha, Wesley, Wayne, and Wendell, and Mary by my father. And now this is interesting, the one where my dad's on horseback, because that's practically at this spot.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's you up there on the top.
Yes.
Now, you weren't 8 years old in that picture.
No, I was 25.
That looks like a movie star picture there.
Well, that was a short period of my life.
Well, this is very, very interesting because most people, we've already kind of talked about it, when they come in and out of the park, probably don't know all of this rich history.
That's why we have it here, Huell. And the memorial to my father is, this seemed to be like the perfect spot for it, because this was the heart of the Chautauqua program. This is where things happened.
And it's still where things happen.
Yes.
Right here. This is where people drive in and park and get ready to enjoy the day in the park.
Right. Oh, it's wonderful.
Well, he would have been happy with the way things turned out,
Very, very pleased, I'm sure.
Well, thank you for sharing these stories. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Amy, here it is right here.
Here's our memorial.
Here's the plaque, and here are all of the people gathered around who understand now and who have heard some of this story. This plaque to Reverend Charles H. Scott, the founder and president of the Pacific Palisades Association, the man who started all of this back in 1922. We've still got some of the old buildings left. The canyon is still here. The memories are still here. And this place is still serving the public in a wonderful, wonderful way, just like it always has.
Absolutely. He left us a great legacy, and we're very proud to continue in the tradition.
And thank you for coming out and sharing your father's story.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
With all of us. It's a true California story that is still alive and well today here in Temescal Canyon.
You know, I think to see this reborn again, look at all the people, it's just fun to see them come.
Well, weren't you talking about it, Amy, that it's kind of holding on to the same purpose that it had originally?
Absolutely. It still remains a place where people come and gather and learn and enjoy great rejuvenation from nature. We have people stay here on weekends and hear speakers. We have camp kids come and learn environmental education. So I like to think that the spirit of the Chautauqua is still with us here in the canyon.
Hello, everybody. I'm Huell Hauser. And if you enjoyed our visit to beautiful and historic Temescal Canyon Gateway Park in Pacific Palisades and would like to see it again or share it with your family and friends, it's available on video cassette. All you have to do is call 1-800-266-5727, and we'll be glad to send it to you right away.